Hello again, Bryony, and here we are with another of our video dialogues. Really interested to explore the component of ease. So I'm going to hand over to you, Bri. What's your freshest thinking about ease?
Ease. Discarding internal urgency. Oh, sounds so easy, doesn't it? Yeah, 3 words. I have been exploring it. Well, I think we've probably been exploring it from a point of not being at ease in our lives at all. So it's, for me, it's been a really interesting time because it's really brought to the surface all of the things that can go wrong with whether you've got ease or not. But actually then coming back to the thinking environment and really considering all the different elements that actually contribute to ease. It's a big feedback loop going on. That's what I've really noticed with the thinking environment. And it does mirror in my life as well. There have been aspects of the thinking environment that I've almost had to mirror in my life, or notice that, I do mirror in my life, because there's a big sense of having the right conditions, of course. What do you think?
I'm noticing actually, Bri, that this has not been a particularly useful day for me, and I came into the Zoom like a little bit. But even it's almost this sort of neural memory of being in a thinking environment that brings ease in its wake. Now, tuning into that and going with the flow of that is a challenge. Still feeling it when we're not in a thinking environment is a challenge. But I'm remembering some time ago when I did 2 short sessions on the thinking environment with maybe 6 weeks apart to the same group of people in the same room. One guy walking through the door and saying, "Can't remember anything about what we did last time, but I can feel it. I can feel the ease as I walk into the room." So you're right about there being a feedback loop, and also about that becoming programmed into us, really. And that's really, really helpful. My most recent experience with ease has been it's been a stunner, to be honest, because it's been a tough few months. And I was, I'm working on a big deadline at the minute, working hard up to going away last weekend, realized that I just was losing the capacity to think. So luckily the work that I was doing was really a translation job of taking some materials and, designing them into something a bit fresher. So I wasn't having to do anything that was deep thinking. I got in the car, set off, and the car's like my thinking space. I literally felt myself go, oh. And then suddenly into my head popped up an untrue limiting assumption that I'd been living as true, that was so powerful and has the potential to be really life-changing for me. And I'm just really fascinated by what happened in there, that just the presence of ease and feeling the ease in my body unblocked stuff. And I'm sure that's to do with often being in a thinking environment. But all of that really happened in nanoseconds without me being aware of it. It was just like, yeah. So I'm loving ease at the minute. It's always been the one I have to work on, when you do the little online quiz thing. I can remember first doing it on the Time to Think website, and it came back ease. I can remember Nancy pulling me up gently over ease time and time again, because I am very animated and wired in a certain way to be like either or oh. So it's not been an easy journey between me and ease, but I am loving it at the minute. What do you think?
It really struck me that you get into the space and then just magically something's changed. And And I think it is a practice. I think it is I guess what really appealed to me when I first came to the thinking environment was sort of this, because it did sort of tap into stuff that I've done before about meditation, or that could be yoga, that could be, I've started doing Tai Chi, which I've really noticed is a similar thing. It's just like, oh, I'm here now, and suddenly I'm doing it each week. It's a practice, and then when I'm here, it's like my whole literally my body goes, oh, and in that moment, our chemicals change. The thing about not being at ease, which I've really noticed, is the chemicals. And you were saying about not being able to think. It's like, yeah, because the chemicals in my brain, the adrenaline that's coursing through my body, basically, all of that's happening is great for short term, get it fixed quick, but it's not good for that deep thinking. It's not good for that place that we can get to where we've got that flow. So there's something about immediately you get into the space, you kind of go, and oh, actually my breathing rate slowed down again. The familiarity of the space is giving me that sense of safety. Again, it's the counteraction, isn't it, of the stress response. It's all about this. It feels like it's all about the stress response. And when we get into these practice spaces, it doesn't take long to notice it. That's what's interesting from what you were saying. People really notice the difference between not being in the space and then coming into the space. Yeah. And it strikes me that you always think, oh, the component that's really important when we do it is attention. But actually, more and more, as I've been thinking about ease and how it weaves its way into our lives, ease, everything's about creating enough ease. And it really made me think about each of the individual components and thought, oh, they all do. I mean, I know there's an interrelationship between them, but they do. It's this ease, it's this psychological safety, enough psychological safety that allows us to be at ease. Mm. And that is where we can do that thinking, because our everything responds to that. And the stress kind of, it takes a little minute, doesn't it? But yeah, there's that familiarity, there's that knowing that I'm not going to be interrupted, the knowing I'm not going to be distracted. I've carved out this time, and it is with the contract of all of the components. So yeah, it's made me really think that ease, they're all brilliant, obviously, all of the components, but it made me realize how important this one is. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the work that we do in the ideas rooms, where often people have never had any experience of the thinking environment before, or have only had the experience of the ideas rooms, which are essentially thinking rounds. And each facilitator sets it up differently. But you really notice if someone forgets to ask people to be succinct. And I forget sometimes, and you always notice, because unless you say it, people don't do it. And how we set being succinct up is pausing, easing into the space, knowing you're not going to be interrupted, that your silence isn't going to be interrupted. In that space, you find ease, don't you? That's where ease can happen. So people get into that easeful space and they don't start talking straight away when it's their turn. They pause, and then actually they come to what they want to say without just saying words. And it is more succinct. And, being succinct is about equality. It's about other components. But I hadn't really thought before of the ease in the pause. And it really is a gift to know you're not going to be interrupted. And maybe ease has become more important. And you're right, there's no like Olympics of 10 components. But as the world has got faster and faster and noisier, and we've got social media and phones pinging all around us, and ease has become so vital, hasn't it? And so rare that perhaps we needing it more and noticing it more. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the sort of triggers to our stressful state are multifaceted, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's not just the noise of the distractions, the everything's got to be done tomorrow, everything, the speed of it all, but it's something about being able to be ourselves as well. Feels like there are so many more things that we've got to be now. What do I even mean by that? I think because of the noise of things like social media, the pressure on us, isn't it, to be something that we're fundamentally not. We're not designed to be switched on as much as we are. We're just not designed to be. Whether it's time or whether it's expectations, actually. There are a lot of expectations. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. The expectations of us are also greater. So again, coming back into this space, there's so much of that that is stripped away. Expectations of the people that we're with. We're asking people really not to judge. We're asking people to be more authentic. So there's another layer of it where actually we can turn up and people aren't going to tell us what we're doing wrong or not listen to us or there's something about definitely when we come together and do these things, obviously loads of people are going to be listening to us, but I'm just going to be who I am saying what I'm saying. This is not scripted. This is just a flow of thought. And that is so liberating. And in that moment, it's like, oh, expectations, all of that stuff. My own expectations. Gradually, I learn that my own expectations, our assumptions about who we are and what we should be and all of those things. Yeah, we've got that time, we've got that space, we've got that breath to take, knowing that we will be accepted as we are in that moment. What do you think?
Yeah, I really feel that's a lovely place to end, and I'd be really interested in what others think and feel and want to say about ease. I think from what you've said, it's no coincidence. You use the word liberate. It's no coincidence that ease liberated me from that untrue limiting assumption that I was living as true. Yeah, I think I'm going to sit happily with that for a while. Anything more you want to say, Bri?
The only thing I would say is that one of my absolute go-tos has been for many, many years, that idea of taking those 3 long, slow breaths. Just in that moment, you can redress that balance of chemicals in the body, take in some oxygen, and just take that moment to reframe, stand back, have a bit of perspective. Yeah.
I'll see you next time.